I woke up in my best friend's body, staring at the deed to my own home clutched in hands that weren't mine, and realized the betrayal ran deeper than the blood money they'd framed me for. The mirror showed Victoria's flawless Botox smooth face smirking back, but it was me, Arabella, screaming inside, plotting how to burn their empire down from the inside. And when I whispered her secrets into the ear of the man who stole my life, he didn't know it was the beginning of the end, because revenge isn't served cold, it's swapped, stolen, and shoved down their throats until they choke on the truth. My name is Arabella Voss, and up until 3 months ago, I owned a brownstone on the Upper West Side that my grandmother left me when she died in that freak subway accident back in 18. It wasn't just bricks and mortar, it was the last piece of her I had left, creaky oak floors that echoed with stories of jazz clubs in Harlem, a kitchen where she'd teach me to make pecan pie with a splash of bourbon because life's too short for dry desserts. Baby girl. I'd clawed my way up from a waitress gig in Brooklyn to junior editor at a mid-tier publishing house, dreaming of my own imprint someday. Steady, if unglamorous. Safe. Victoria Hale was the spark that lit my fuse to something brighter. We met at a rooftop mixer in Chelsea. Her in a red sheath dress that hugged her like a second skin. Me in thrift store jeans trying not to spill my cheap Merlot. She was everything I wasn't. Silver spoon trust fund. Daddy a Wall Street shark who'd bailed out half of Manhattan during the '08 crash. And a laugh that could disarm a room full of skeptics. Arabella. Darling, she'd purr, linking arms like we'd been sorority sisters since birth. You're too good for these hacks. Come work with me. 6 months later, I was her executive assistant at Hale Media Group, a boutique firm that packaged influencers into book deals faster than you could say ghostwriter. It felt like fate. Or so I told myself when she started borrowing money, small at first, $1,000 here for a bad month, $2 there for a client emergency. I never asked questions because that's what friends do. Right? In the city that never sleeps. Loyalty's the only currency that doesn't depreciate. But loyalty's a two-way street. And Victoria? She was building a goddamn empire on one-way tolls. The first crack showed on a muggy July afternoon. I was in the office, buried in contracts for some TikTok star's memoir, when the feds kicked in the door. Suits with badges. The kind that scream, white-collar wolf hunt. They zip-tied my wrists right there at my desk. Victoria's desk, hers. Technically, since I'd been promoted to shadow her full-time. Arabella Voss. You're under arrest for embezzlement and money laundering, the lead agent barked, his voice like gravel in a blender. The news vans were already circling the block by the time they shoved me into the back of an unmarked SUV. I didn't understand. Not until the interrogation room. That sterile box with the one-way mirror and the coffee that tasted like regret. They laid it out, wire transfers from Hale Media's offshore accounts, funneled through my login credentials, laundered through shell companies I'd never heard of.
Millions.
Enough to fund a small country's election. And the kicker? The trail led straight to my brownstone, deposits disguised as home renovation loans that I'd supposedly taken out to flip the place. But I didn't. I stammered, my voice cracking like cheap porcelain. The agent just slid a photo across the table. Me? Or someone who looked like me? Signing documents at a notary in Midtown. Time-stamped 2 weeks ago. My signature. Flawless. Victoria visited me that night in lockup. Her face a mask of crocodile tears. Mascara running just enough to sell the sympathy.
Oh.
Bella. I had no idea, she sobbed, clutching the plexiglass divider like it was my hand. They think I knew? God. This is a nightmare. She promised lawyers, alibis, The works. I'll fight for you. Your house, I'll protect it. I swear. By morning, she'd vanished.
Poof.
Gone to Europe on a business trip, her assistant said. The kind of trip that lasts until the heat dies down. The trial was a circus. My public defender, a harried kid fresh out of Fordham, couldn't even pronounce half the financial jargon. Victoria testified, all poise and pathos, admitting she'd overlooked some irregularities but pinning the rest on me, her ambitious protege, with a chip on her shoulder from the wrong side of the bridge. The jury ate it up. Guilty on all counts.
10 years.
Eligible for parole in 7. And the brownstone? Auctioned off to cover restitution. Sold to a shell corp with Victoria's fingerprints all over it, metaphorically. At least. She bought my home with my own stolen life. Prison in upstate New York is a special kind of hell for a city girl like me. The air smells like damp concrete and unwashed despair. The nights stretch into infinities of fluorescent buzz. I spent the first year raging, at the guards who called me sweet cheeks, at the cellmate who snored like a freight train, at the mirror that showed a hollow-eyed stranger with roots showing in her once vibrant auburn hair. But mostly at Victoria. I'd replay every late-night confessional, every "You're my rock, Bella," and wonder how I missed the venom beneath the velvet. Then came Dr. Elias Crow. He slunk into the visitor's room one gray November afternoon, looking like he'd stepped out of a bad noir flick, tweed jacket, wire-rimmed glasses, a briefcase that probably held more secrets than a CIA black site. MS. Voss, he said, voice low and clipped, like he was afraid the walls had ears. I've been following your case. Fascinating. Turns out he was some rogue neuroscientist, blackballed from Columbia for unethical experiments. His pitch? A way to reclaim what's yours. Not legally, screw the courts, but existentially. He called it the Crow Protocol, a neural swap. Experimental tech blending quantum entanglement with deep brain stimulation. Sounded like sci-fi bullshit, but he tested it on rats. Then convicts on death row who volunteered for a shot at second chances. The hook? If it worked, I'd wake up in someone else's body, free to walk out and settle scores. If it failed,
well,
let's just say the ethics board wasn't consulted. Why me? I asked, leaning forward until the chain on my jumpsuit clinked. Because you're clean, he said, eyes gleaming behind those specs. Framed to perfection. And Victoria Hale? She's the key. I need a vessel with access, her access. Imagine it, you. In her skin, dismantling her from the inside. It was insane. Controversial as hell. Trading souls like stocks on the NYSE. But as I sat there, staring at the photo of my brownstone they'd pinned to my cell wall like a taunt, I felt the rage crystallize. Not hot anymore, but cold, sharp, surgical. When do we start? The procedure happened in an abandoned warehouse on the edge of Sing Sing's perimeter, Crow's off-grid lab, a Faraday cage jury-rigged from shipping containers and salvaged MRI parts. They drugged me at lights out. And the last thing I remember is the hum of the machine, like a swarm of metallic bees. And Crow's whisper, hold on to who you are,
Arabella. The rest.
It'll come back to you. I blacked out. And when I came to, the world was wrong. Soft sheets, Egyptian cotton that whispered against skin that felt foreign. Sunlight filtered through blackout curtains, casting the room in a golden haze. A penthouse. Victoria's penthouse, overlooking Central Park like a god surveying her kingdom. I bolted upright, heart hammering, and stumbled to the full-length mirror in the ensuite bathroom. Staring back was Victoria Hale. Platinum waves tumbling over shoulders that had never known a day's honest labor.
Green eyes.
Cat-like and calculating, now wide with my panic. I touched her face, tracing the high cheekbones, the subtle lip filler. Holy shit, I breathed, and it came out in her husky timbre, laced with that faint Long Island edge she tried to hide. On the nightstand, my brownstone's deed, crisp and damning, with Victoria's, my signature scrawled at the bottom. She'd done it. While I rotted, she'd made it official.
But now?
Now I was her.
And she.
Wherever she was, trapped in my broken-down shell behind bars. The swap worked. God help her.
It worked.
I laughed then, a sound that echoed off the marble like shattered glass. It wasn't joy. It was the birth of something darker, something that had been festering since the cuffs clicked shut. Revenge wasn't a word anymore. It was a blueprint. The first 48 hours in Victoria's body were a crash course in high society vertigo. Her closet was a walk-in shrine to excess, rows of Louboutins that pinched like accusations, racks of Chanel that smelled faintly of her Chanel no. 5 and something sharper, like ambition gone rancid. I raided it for armor, a tailored black pantsuit that hugged curves I'd only envied from afar, pearls that felt like nooses around my throat. The mirror lied every time I looked, showed her poise, her power, but inside, Arabella Voss was coiled like a spring, plotting trajectories. Crow had slipped me a burner phone before the swap, encrypted texts guiding me like a ghost in the machine. Lay low, he messaged that first morning. Her schedule's on the cloud, username VHaleQueen, password MiniTalks69.
Watch.
Learn. Strike when the board meets. He warned about echoes, neural bleed-through, flashes of her memories bleeding into mine like ink in water. Already, I could taste her favorite espresso, bitter and frothed just so. Feel the phantom itch of a tattoo she hid under her sleeve, a serpent eating its tail. Inked in Ibiza after her first big score. I started small. Coffee run to her favorite spot in Soho. A hole-in-the-wall called Beanstalk that charged $12 for a thimble of joe. The barista, tattooed millennial with a man bun, grinned like I was his prom date. The usual. Vic, extra shot. Hold the foam. I nodded, channeling her aloof charm, and watched him key in the comp. That's when the echo hit, a memory not mine. Of Victoria slipping him 104 tips that bought silence on late-night pickups. Shady deliveries. Cash-stuffed envelopes from men in off-the-rack suits. Back at the penthouse, I hacked her laptop. Her passwords were child's play. Variations on her daddy's yacht club. Emails flooded in, board agendas for Hale Media. Flirty threads with her on-again financier boyfriend, Marcus Reed. A silver fox with hedge fund fangs. And buried in a subfolder labeled contingencies, the forged docs that sank me. Scanned notaries. Photoshopped timestamps. Even a deep fake video of me depositing checks at an ATM in Queens. My stomach twisted, but my resolve hardened. This was ammo. Pure. Printable gold. By day 3, I was Victoria Hale incarnate. Board meeting at the Four Seasons. Glass-walled conference room with views that screamed, "We own the skyline." Her team, sycophants in Brooks Brothers, filed in, laptops at the ready. I took my seat at the head, legs crossed like a queen on her throne, and let her voice roll out smooth as silk. Gentlemen, ladies, let's cut the bullshit. Q3 projections are dog's hit because we've been playing nice with the auditors. Time to pivot. They nodded, mesmerized. Marcus was there, across the table, his eyes lingering on me with that predatory gleam. Echo again, flashes of silk sheets, his whiskey breath, promises of mergers that left bruises. I smiled back, all teeth, and proposed a restructuring, funneling funds through new shells, ones I'd reroute straight to an anonymous tip line for the SEC. Subtle sabotage. They bought it hook, line, sinker. Nights were harder. The penthouse echoed with ghosts, her ghosts. I'd pour her scotch,
Neat.
and sift through drawers. Found a hidden safe in the master closet, combo her birthday. Because of course. Inside, ledgers, handwritten, detailing the embezzlement. Not just Hale Media cash, my grandmother's life insurance payout, siphoned when she helped me with estate stuff post-funeral. The betrayal sank deeper. A knife twist. Victoria hadn't just framed me, she'd orphaned me twice over. I needed allies. Or at least pawns. Enter Lena, Victoria's confidant, really a junior exec with eyes like a hawk and a grudge the size of Jersey. We met for girls' night at Le Cuckoo. All oysters and overpriced rows.
Vic.
You look off, she said, swirling her glass, suspicion flickering. Echo helped. I mirrored her laugh. Dropped insider dirt on Marcus's latest affair. By the third round, she was spilling whispers of Victoria's side hustle, laundering for a Russian oligarch via book deals that were fronts for crypto drops. You're the only one I trust, I lied. Clinking glasses. Help me bury this before it buries us. Lean a bit. She didn't know it was me pulling strings, but by week's end, she'd accidentally forwarded incriminating emails to my burner. Progress. Then Marcus made his move. Dinner at per se. His treat, lobster thermidor, and lies thicker than the beurre blanc. He leaned in over dessert, hand on my knee, murmuring about expanding the empire with my brownstone as collateral for a new venture. That little fixer-upper? Prime real estate.
Babe.
We'll flip it. Make a killing. My blood boiled, my home, reduced to a flip. Echoes surged, memories of him signing off on the auction, toasting with Victoria as the gavel fell. I played along, batting lashes, whispering sweet nothings laced with bait. What if we document everything? For protection. He grinned, ego stroked, and agreed to a private ledger, one-eyed doctor with every damning detail. By midnight, back in the penthouse, I was emailing Crow, threads tightening. Send extraction plan. But extraction? That implied escape. I wasn't running.
Not yet.
The house keys, Victoria's keys to my front door, jingled in her purse like a siren's call. I drove upstate that weekend, her sleek Audi purring through the Holland Tunnel like a panther on the prowl. The brownstone looked smaller in the dusk, forlorn under sodium lamps, new locks gleaming mockingly. A for sale sign swung crookedly, listing it as a charming renovation opportunity for twice what Grandma paid. I picked the lock, skills from a misspent youth boosting bikes in the Bronx, and slipped inside. Dust motes danced in flashlight beams from my phone. The kitchen, empty cabinets, but the pie tin still on the sill. A relic. Upstairs, my bedroom, stripped, but the floorboard creak underfoot whispered welcome. I sank onto the bare mattress, tears hot on cheeks that weren't mine, and vowed, this ends with them homeless.
Begging.
Monday brought the first real pushback. Victoria's, my assistant, buzzed. MS. Hail. The warden called. Inmate boss. She's escaped. My heart stuttered. Escaped? No. Victoria. In my body. Clawing for freedom. Crow texted. Containment breach. She's en route to the city. Abort?
Abort?
Hell no. This was the twist I'd been waiting for. Let her come. Let her walk right into the trap I'd built in her skin. Word count, 998. Part 3. The confrontation. She found me at the brownstone. Of course. Victoria always had a nose for blood in the water. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind where the city holds its breath before a storm, air thick with ozone, distant thunder rumbling like indigestion. I'd spent the day there, methodically cataloging photos of stripped wiring where renovators had gutted the place for resale value, invoices for phantom repairs billed to my name. Each scrap a bullet in my growing arsenal. The door rattled first, frantic pounding, then a key scraping futilely against the new deadbolt I'd installed that morning. Open up, you bitch. My voice, hoarse, raw from disuse, unmistakably mine but twisted with her venom. I watched from the shadows of the parlor, heart a war drum. There she was, in my skin, gaunt, jumpsuit swapped for ill-fitting sweats probably boosted from a halfway house, auburn hair matted, eyes wild with feral hate. I stepped into the foyer light, Victoria's lithe frame silhouetted like a specter. Evening. Vic, I said in her drawl, casual as a cocktail chat. Miss me? She froze, then lunged, claws out, a guttural snarl ripping from my throat. I sidestepped, years of self-defense classes kicking in, and she slammed into the wall with a thud that shook the sconces. What the fuck is this? She spat, scrambling up, blood trickling from a split lip. My lip? God damn it. Crow? That quack? You stole my life. Borrowed, I corrected, circling her like a shark in a kiddie pool. You stole everything else.
My job.
My freedom. My home. I dangled the deed from manicured fingers, watching her eyes track it like a junkie eyeing a fix. Echoes bombarded me now, her memories crashing against mine. Childhood tea parties with nannies who fled. Daddy's boardroom roasts that left scars deeper than skin. For a split second, pity flickered. Then rage doused it. She laughed, manic, wiping blood with the back of my hand. Pity party? You were nothing. Arabella. A Brooklyn rat I dragged into the light. I made you. Lies. All of it. But they stung because part of me, the broken part, had believed them once. She lunged again. This time with a shard of broken vase glass she'd snatched from the floor. I caught her wrist, twisting until she dropped it with a yelp. We grappled. A grotesque mirror fight, me and her body pinning her in mine, until sirens wailed in the distance. Someone must have called it in. Think you're smart, she hissed, breath hot against her face. Marcus knows. He's got eyes everywhere. Bluff or truth. Didn't matter. I zip-tied her wrists with ties from the kitchen drawer, ironic. The ones she'd gifted me for bundling manuscripts, and shoved her into the basement. The one with the coal chute Grandma used to scare me with ghost stories. While she thrashed and cursed, I called Marcus. Darling, I purred into the phone. We have a problem. Arabella's.
Loose.
Meet me at the brownstone.
Now.
He arrived in 20. His Bentley purring to a halt like a fat cat slinking home. Tailored suit. Cologne that screamed, "I own you," and eyes that widened fractionally when he saw Victoria, disheveled but composed, waiting on the stoop. "Babe, what the hell?" He pulled me into a hug that reeked of calculation, hands roaming possessive. I let him, bile rising, then pulled back with a tremulous smile. Inside. It's bad. The basement reveal was theatrical. Victoria, me, muzzled with duct tape, eyes blazing above the gag. Marcus blanched, then recovered with a bark of laughter. Jesus. Vic. You caught the little thief? Resourceful as always. He knelt, yanking the tape free. She spat a litany of accusations. It's her. She's in me. But he just chuckled, patting her cheek like a naughty pup. Delusional from the stress.
Huh?
Don't worry.
Arabella.
We'll get you back to the funny farm. That's when I dropped the bomb. Not fist stocks. I slapped the ledger on the workbench. Pages fanned like a poker hand. Sign it, Marcus. Admit the transfers. Or this goes to the DA with your name in lights. He straightened, smile congealing. What is this shit? But his eyes darted, guilty flickers. Echo helped again, his memory bleeding through the contact high of proximity, of late nights forging my cigs while Victoria poured the wine. You think you can blackmail me? I own half this city. Own this. I hit play on the laptop. The deepfake video reversed, pixel peeled to show the green screen seams. Victoria's reflection in a window pane mouthing cues. His face drained of color. Where'd you? Details, I snapped, dropping the mask. Victoria's voice. But my fire. You two framed me for your dirty laundry. Oligarch payoffs. Insider trades. My grandma's money? That was the seed, wasn't it? To buy this dump out from under me. He lunged then, but I was ready, barstool to the gut, sending him wheezing. Victoria, forgotten in the corner, cackled through tears. Told you, Mark. She's a viper. Sirens closer now. Marcus bolted for the stairs, but I tripped him, vintage brownstone loose riser, and he tumbled, skull cracking on the edge with a wet thunk. Not dead, breathing ragged, but out cold, blood pooling like spilled Merlot. Controversial? Hell yes. Self-defense or assault? The line blurred in the red haze. Victoria stared, then whispered, Finish it. For us. Us. As if. I knelt, close enough to smell my own fear sweat on her.
No.
You rot. Both of you. Cops burst in minutes later, anonymous tip from Lena, who'd been tailing on my orders. They found the scene. Victoria dazed but cooperative. Arabella raving about body swaps. Marcus comatose. Charges flew. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. The press ate it up. Media mogul in basement brawl. Crow extracted me that night. A black van idling in an alley. Neural zap. And I woke in a Fleabag motel in Jersey. Back in my body bruised. Battered.
But me.
The headlines screamed vindication. Feds raiding Hale Media. Arrests piling up. My brownstone? Frozen in escrow. Pending the appeals I'd file pro bono, with every scrap of evidence. But as I stared at the ceiling cracks, echoes lingered, not hers, but mine.
Doubts.
Had I gone too far? Marcus lived, but the scar on his temple would whisper my name forever. And Victoria's last look, not hate, but recognition. Like she'd seen the monster she'd created. Freedom tasted like stale diner coffee and bus exhaust. But damn if it didn't taste like home. Crow dropped me at a safe house in Astoria. Greasy spoon walk-up with a view of the RFK Bridge. The kind of place where dreams go to chain smoke. The swap's reversible. But echoes stick, he warned, packing his kit. Her patterns, your rage. Don't let it consume. Easy for him to say. He vanished into the night, a ghost who'd played God for a paycheck. The city buzzed with fallout. My face, real me, splashed across New York Post covers, framed femme fatale freed. Talk shows booked me faster than I could dodge subpoenas. I played the part. Teary interviews on CNN. Decrying corporate betrayal with just enough grit to go viral. Behind the scenes, I lawyered up with a shark from Brooklyn Poly, a no-nonsense broad named Rita who smelled the grift a mile off. You got the docs.
Kid.
Now we got, the civil suit hit like a subway rush hour. Me versus Hale Media. Victoria. Marcus, conspiracy. Fraud. Emotional distress thick enough to choke a jury. Discovery phase was my playground, subpoenas peeling back layers like an onion of deceit. Found out Victoria's trust fund was bullshit. Daddy cut her off years ago after she tanked his firm with a Ponzi flirtation. She'd clawed back using me as bait, luring clients with my every woman charm while she skimmed the cream. Marcus? Deeper rot. His hedge fund wasn't just insider trading. It laundered for cartels south of the border. Booked deals as cover for Narcolit. One deposition. He squirmed under Rita's grill. MS. Voss's credentials?
I.
Authorized them.
Lie.
The video I'd planted showed otherwise, him laughing as Victoria inked my name on dummy accounts. Public opinion split like a fault line. Feminists hailed me as a survivor. Wall Street whispered, hysterical gold digger. Protests outside the courthouse. Justice for Arabella signs clashing with Free Victoria pickets claiming deep fake witch hunt. Controversial decisions piled up. I leaked the oligarch ties to ProPublica. Anonymous drop. Watching empires crumble from afar. Was it justice or vengeance? The line blurred in echo dreams. Where I'd wake sweating. Victoria's voice in my head cooing. We make a hell of a team. Lena became my shadow, real ally now. Post-swap clarity burning bridges with Hale. We met in dive bars off Times Square. Plotting over wings and IPAs. You were different in her skin, she said one night. Eyes searching. Harder. Hotter. Flirtation? Or probe? I deflected with a laugh. But it lingered. Echoes messing with desire. Her memories of stolen kisses with assistance bleeding into my straight arrow wiring. The climax brewed in a pretrial hearing. Federal courthouse in Foley Square. Marble halls echoing like tombs. Victoria. Out on bail in my old jumpsuit tailored to designer slacks.
Took the stand.
Her lawyer. A silver-tongued prick from Skadden. Spun the yarn. My client was manipulated by MS. Voss. A woman scorned by rejection. Rejection? As if. Flashback to that rooftop mixer. Victoria's hand on my arm. Lingering too long. Eyes hungry. Echo confirmed. She'd propositioned me once. Drunk on victory. And I'd shut it down gentle. Payback?
She testified.
Voice steady. Arabella envied me. Fabricated the evidence to destroy what she couldn't have. Gasps rippled. The judge banged for order. My turn. I rose. Rita's notes in hand. And unloaded. Envy? You stole my signature. My savings. My sanity. This, I slapped the ledger down, is your handwriting?
Vic. Admit it.
Chaos. Her eyes met mine across the well, twin greens. One feral, one forged. Liar, she mouthed. But the jury shifted. Whispers of perjury charges buzzed. That night, Marcus's goons paid a visit. Two meatheads in a black Escalade, tailing me from court to the safe house. They cornered me in the alley, reeking of cheap cigars and cheaper threats. Back off the suit.
Voss.
Or your little birdhouse goes up in flames. My brownstone's still in limbo, but mine on paper now. I need the first in the balls. Elbowed the second's throat. Street smarts over echoes, and they fled. Tires squealing. Rita pulled strings. Protection detail. A burly ex-cop named Torres shadowing me. You're stirring the hive. Arabella. They play dirty. Understatement. Next came the smear. Tabloids dredging my past. Teen shoplifting bust. A college fling gone sour. Unstable, they called me. Public teetered. Polls showed 52% doubting my story. I doubled down. Press conference outside the brownstone. Cameras flashing like paparazzi vultures. This isn't about money, I said. Key in hand. Unlocking the door live on feed. It's about truth. Come see for yourselves. Inside, the gutted kitchen. Exposed beams like ribs. And pinned to the fridge, a timeline of docs. From forged deeds to cartel wires. Viral in hours. Brownstone betrayal trended. Victoria cracked first. Bail hearing the next week. She snapped, lunging at me across the bar. Screaming, "Give it back. My body. My life." Security hauled her. But the damage stuck, unhinged. Guilty vibes. Marcus folded days later. Plea deals spilling guts. Full confession. Victoria as mastermind. Him as muscle. Feds swarmed. Indictments raining. Echoes peaked that night. Nightmares of her childhood. Daddy's belt leaving welts. Her first kill, not literal. But a rival in turn suicided off a ledge. Pity again.
Sharper.
Was she made this way? Or chose it? My choices? The basement crack. The leaks, moral gray-eyed painted black. Court wrapped in a plea circus. Victoria and Marcus copping to everything. Sentences stacking like Jenga, 20+ apiece. My brownstone deeded back. Restitution check, fat enough to rebuild twice over. Victory lap? Felt hollow. Echoes whispering, what if? The gavel fell on a crisp October morning. Leaves skittering across Foley Square like confetti from a funeral. Victoria in orange again. Marcus in gray flannel defeat, chained. Hollowed. Sentencing. Her to 25. Him 18 with a side of asset forfeiture that left them penniless. The judge. A noble grizzly with a Brooklyn drawl. I'd me last. MS. Voss. Justice delayed ain't denied. Rebuild. Rebuild. I did. In fits. The brownstone rose from its bones, contractors hammering out the hate, restoring Grandma's kitchen with quartz counters and that bourbon-proof oven. I moved back in. Nights spent baking pies that tasted like ash at first, then memory. Publishing gig waited. Rita's connections landed me at Penguin. Editing true crime memoirs. Irony or closure? But echoes don't fade quiet. They fester. Philosophical itches. Victoria's memories surfaced in therapy, mandatory post-trauma. Courtesy of the DA's pro bono psych.
DR.
Sing. Turban sage with a notepad like a shield. Probe gentle. The swap, what did it teach you? Arabella? Forgiveness?
Nah. Power.
The illusion of it. How she'd wielded mine like a prop, and I'd mirrored the sin to shatter hers. Lena stuck around, blurring lines. Dinners turned dates, her laugh chasing shadows. You're not her, she'd say, fingers tracing my real scars. You're better, but in bed. Echoes betrayed, Victoria's touches ghosting over, making me flinch. Trust? Fractured. We fizzled gentle. Her to LA for a producer gig. Me to solitude with a cat named Swap. Public faded. Another scandal supplanted mine. Some celeb sextape implosion. But online, debates raged. Forums dissecting the trial. Body swap hoax trending with conspiracy nets claiming Crow was CIA psyops. Vigilante justice or witch hunt? Threads asked. I lurked, anonymous, heart twisting at the splits. Half hailed me hero, half scorned ruthless climber. Debatable ending?
Check.
The twist dropped Christmas Eve. Package on my stoop, unmarked. Postmarked Sing Sing. Inside a letter. Victoria's script, elegant loops hiding tremors.
Arabella.
You won. Fair or foul. Doesn't matter. But here's the real theft. I didn't frame you alone. Daddy knew. Sanction it. Even. His last gift before the cancer took him. Toughen her up, he said. The money? Seed for his ghost empire. You're holding the bag now. But it's laced with his venom. Burn it. Or become it. P.S. The tattoo? Ouroboros. We eat ourselves in the end. See you on the other side. No signature. Just a USB drive. Files on me. My shoplift rap. But deeper. Grandma's accident? Not freak. Pushed. Whispers said. After she sniffed the family's grift. Daddy Hale's cleanup crew. My stomach dropped. The crime I'd borne? Not just embezzlement. Murder. I'd taken the fall for killers, and in revenge, become one morally. At least. The basement thud echoed eternal. I burned it all in the fireplace. Flames devouring pixels and paper alike. Ouroboros. But as ashes swirled, a spark, not defeat, but rebirth. I called Rita next day, new suit, against the Hale estate. Not for cash. For truth. Exhume the old man. Autopsy the lie. Ending? Your call. Happy I win. Rebuild. Love again. Lena's texts hint at second chances. Tragic. Echoes win. I spiral into paranoia, haunting the house like its ghost. Debatable. Was revenge justice? Or just another swap? I stare at the mirror now, me. Fully, and wonder if the real thief was always inside. The city hums on. Indifferent. And me? I'm baking pie. With extra bourbon.